You are high level.
Why?
Because Jade needs to be played.
If I read this not on audio, I don't think I would have had a good time. Hey guys, what's up and welcome back or to the Roomies Digest. My name's Christine, and if you clicked on this video, you know that we are in for another riveting episode of Battle of the Books. It is currently July, which means that we are over halfway through the year. That means that in this next half, things are gonna get a little heated as we get closer and closer to the end of our competition. Now, if you don't know what Battle of the Books is, it's a series that I've been doing on our channel this year, where essentially I ask a creator from each platform, BookTube, Bookstagram, and BookTok, to give me a book recommendation. Now, to keep things fair, I like to give them a generalized genre or theme for the month. Once I get my recommendations, I read those books during the month, vlog it for you guys, and then rate them based off of the Cawpile method, which was created by Book Roast. Links are down below if you're interested in that rating system. The book with the highest rating gets a point for their platform, and the platform with the highest points at the end of the year is going to be the platform that officially has recommended the best books of the year, at least to me. This month, we are doing cozy fantasy. I know. I am not the biggest fan of cozy fantasy, but I am on a mission to find books that I love. So I have asked some of the best cozy fantasy readers, AKA creators, to give me their book recs this month. Currently, TikTok is in the lead. I know. Everybody gives TikTok smack, and maybe, you know, that says more about me than it does about TikTok, but currently they're winning. I'm shocked. I'm shook. Now, granted, it's not by a lot, but the other platforms are gonna have to recommend some great books if they wanna catch up. Now, you guys already know we are doing cozy fantasy this month. I'm very, very excited to introduce these creators to you, so let's go ahead and get into the video.
Bum, bum. Da 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 bum bum da.
Our first creator today is going to be representing Instagram. She is so aesthetic, y'all, aesthetic. And if you follow our Instagram and you click on our stories, you'll see that I repost her stuff all the time because I think that she is just so creative, and the way that she uses Photoshop to like make herself look like a fairy princess goddess all the time, it's just so amazing. Without further ado, I would like to introduce you guys to Kat from The Magic Cat on Instagram. I'm sure you guys will recognize her. Obviously, her feed is amazing. Kat is a really good friend, and in all these years that I've known her, I don't think that she's ever recommended me a book. We read a lot of the same things, but I don't think she's ever recommended me a book. And I mean, I don't know what she would recommend me. I have not a lot of knowledge of cozy fantasy. So this guessing on this round, I don't know if it's gonna go well. You know what I mean? Because all I'm thinking of is Travis Baldree, Legends and Lattes. And y'all know I was not impressed with that book. I was not impressed with that book. So I don't really know what Kat is going to recommend me. Wait a minute. Wait. You know what? Actually, this just came to me. What is that one book? It's like the Encyclopedia of Emily something. Encyclopedia of Fairies. I don't know why that's, I don't know why that's giving right now. I don't know why that's giving, but that book is gonna be my only guess. That just popped into my brain. Okay, let's try it. Let's just say that's my guess. Okay, let's get into the video. Oh my God, this outfit. Oh my God. I'm already living.
Hi, Christine. So I really tried to not choose this book because it seems like such an obvious choice. But I couldn't not pick it. You haven't read Babel yet.
I have to.
It is... See, and now I'm not going to be able to tell you why you need to read it. But this book, when I say it changed my life, I'm not exaggerating. Look at that. Look at that. It is the perfect amalgamation of educational, fantastical, magical, masterful storytelling. It's a perfect book. It will rip your heart out and then stomp on it and then put it in the blender and then flush it down the toilet and then find it again in the sewer system and make you eat it. And you should read it. I hope you enjoy as much as I did. Believe the hype, because it's true. And best of luck to you. Love you. Bye.
Kat, how could you do this to me? Oh my God. Okay, so I want to say this really quick. I say this in every video. I do give a general theme or genre to our players, but I do also tell them if they don't have something, they can recommend whatever they want. I don't know if Babel is cozy fantasy. Like, maybe you guys can tell me in the comments, like, is it cozy? I mean, I'll know by the end of this vlog, obviously. We can check back in on that. But wow, I can't believe shit. Woo! Okay, there's never in a million years. I thought that was like a dark academia, which is so funny because I was gonna be like, the one book that she would recommend me would be a dark academia. It's like the Scholomance trilogy. A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. That's the one, because I know she loves that, and I haven't read the third book, and I was like, oh, maybe it's gonna be that one. But then I was like, no, it's not. She wouldn't. My cat is playing with a piece of trash. Hold on. Okay. Sherman thinks that this is a toy. He literally got this out of the recycling. Tell them, Sherm. Is this a toy? Yep. Oh, yep. Yeah. It's not a toy, everybody. Okay. Anywho, I'm so hyper right now. Hyper hype. Wow, my heart is like pounding. Oh, I'm sweating. Okay, that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. Let's just go right into the next one. All right, so the next creator that I want to introduce to you guys is someone that I'm not super friendly with. Like we're recent acquaintances. We haven't had many discussions before, but I have followed her for a while. Her name is Meg, and she's from Meg's Tea Room. I feel like she's the epitome of cozy fantasy. Like, if you go on TikTok, you need to be following Meg's Tea Room if you are into the cozy fantasy vibe. You know what I mean? Like, if you just watch all of her videos, it's like very just like cottagecore, plants, very like just cozy. You want to get a little blanket and just like sit in her room and like read with her. And like, y'all don't even have to talk. You know what I mean? You just read books. That's the vibe that Meg is giving. Okay, so she has graciously said yes to sending me a recommendation this month. And so I'm very excited to see what she's gonna recommend me. Really quick, I did forget to mention, Meg loves Legends and Lattes. She's constantly recommending that book, and I am a grouch. I'm a gremlin. I am, you know, the Grinch when it comes to that cozy fantasy book, because for some reason I just was not impressed. Okay, everybody loves this book, and for some reason, I guess maybe because it was sold to me as a romance and it's not, you know, I just like was not down with the vibe. My expectations were here, and they were like way like just they were so low when it came to like the execution of that book. I don't even know why I'm such a Grinch about it. I just didn't like it. Anyway, so that's like Meg's favorite book, and I swear. I mean, she could recommend me like the prequel book that just came out. That would be heartbreaking for me. That would be heartbreaking for me. But that's the only thing that I can really imagine, okay? Because like I said, I'm not well versed with cozy fantasy. So let's go ahead and see. Let's go ahead and see what she recommends me.
Christine, oh boy, do I have a bone to pick with you. I scoured your TBR list, and I could find maybe 1 or 2 cozy fantasies, so this doesn't really seem to be your genre, and it is now my life mission to make it so, okay? I'm gonna make you fall in love with cozy fantasies with 1 book. Are you ready? 1 book. I want you to read The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandanna. Truly, this is one of my favorite books I've ever read. It's like found family crack. So what is this book about? about, well, in this world, witches are very rare, and so they don't get together very often because their magic would draw a lot of attention and it could wreak havoc on the community. Our story follows one witch in particular who is very lonely and decides, in order to have that community, to create a persona online where she pretends to be a witch. She is a witch, but she's pretending to be a witch online, you get it. And because of that public persona, she receives a message asking her to come to a mysterious house and help 3 adorable little girls learn how to control their magic. When she and her amazing dog arrive, they discover this house is full of just such a quirky, wonderful, lovely cast of characters. That does include a very grumpy, sexy librarian. And she just begins to fall in love with these girls, these characters, this home. It's just found family at its finest. In the end, because of this hidden expertise, she's able to help these girls when a real big threat arrives. I just hope this story helps you fall in love with cozy reading.
I'm excited. Everybody. Okay, so I love this series because if I don't have something on the list, people will recommend me their favorite thing. They'll recommend the thing that they're like, yes, that's my favorite thing, and you're gonna read it. And so this is amazing because I've never heard of this book and I'm pretty sure it's gonna be great, okay? Meg was so excited about this recommendation. So what can go wrong? You know, found family, we've got some romance in there, we got, you know, some teaching magic to little girls. It's gonna be a great time. It's giving practical magic, but like cozy. Practical magic is already pretty cozy. But anyway, okay, great recommendation. I'm excited to pick that one up. I'll see if I have it at the library. So yeah. Let's move on to the next contestant. All right, so this final competitor is actually a very, very good friend of mine. We are in many book clubs together, and we first bonded over a like read along of The Cruel Prince, which I don't want to say The Cruel Prince is like cozy, but it's definitely a vibe, okay? It's definitely a vibe. And we both love this book that seems to be so polarizing in the bookish community. And so we really like bonded over that and then created a whole entire book club called Fantaseries, where we read fantasy series all the way through month by month. And we're just pals, we're just friends. And I feel like if I think about BookTube and just like YouTube videos and just like cozy vibes and just like a warm hug, this is my friend who would recommend me a book like that. And her name is Nicole from Bonbon Reads. Like I said, Nicole and I are buddies, we're pals, we read a lot of the same books, we like a lot of the same books, and I feel like her vibe is very cozy, like cozy fantasy fairy, you know, just like vibes. You get what I'm saying? So if I had to think of a book that she would recommend me, I feel like she might recommend me, I have like other Holly Black books, so I feel like she might recommend me one of those. I just don't know if they're cozy. Like, this is my fatal flaw. I don't have that many cozy books. Okay, so this was really a challenge for everybody. So if I had to guess, I would say that that is what she is going to recommend to me. I don't know if that's actually what she's gonna recommend, but let's get into the video.
Hi, Christine. I feel so honored to be asked to give a cozy fantasy recommendation. I have a couple recommendations for you, so I really hope that you haven't read them yet. The first recommendation that I have for you is Witchy, which is a graphic novel series by Ariel Slamet Rios. It's about this magic society where your magic abilities are determined by how long your hair is, but if your hair grows too long, then you could be considered a threat to the government, then they kill you. And it's a middle grade graphic novel series that has a lot of magic and just like a lot of good times, especially with really cool art. I think you would really like it. There's 2 books currently out. It's super good and just one of my favorite graphic novels, honestly. I would also recommend the Wayward Children series by Shannah mcguire. If you like Chronicles of Narnia, it kind of gives me that vibe because it's about children who kind of wander into random doorways and get transported into these worlds, and then they accidentally return to the human world and they're having a really hard time adjusting, so they have to go to this wayward home where basically they just hope that they're going to return one day to their magical world where they ventured into. I hope that you enjoy these recommendations, and I would love to hear your thoughts.
Oh, I love Nicole so much. Okay, both of these I've heard of before. I don't own them, but that's okay. I think Wayward Children. I've heard so much about this, and I actually have never read a Shannon, Tobey Maguire. Anyway, I'm excited to get into that series because it does sound like something that I would really, really enjoy, just because like any kind of like world where it's like Chronicles of Narnia or like, you know, fantasy, like, you know, portals or like time travel or stuff like that, I feel like it's always a lot of fun. I also am a fan of like the boarding school like setting where like the kids go to boarding school and then like they have to like overcome, you know, whatever. It's kind of like Dark Academia, but not really, like sort of. So that's exciting. But yeah, so I think we are gonna go with Wayward Children. And of the 3 books that have been recommended to me today, I believe Wayward Children's probably gonna be the first one. I think it's probably the shortest, and I'm pretty sure I have it saved on Scribd. So that one's already like on my like Scribd TBR. So yeah, we'll start with that one I think for this vlog, and then kind of go from there. Babel is gonna be, y'all are in for a treat because I was trying to read that on the low. I was trying not to vlog that one. I was also not trying to read that one anytime soon, but that's okay. RF Kuang is going to rip my heart out, stomp on it, and give me some knowledge while doing it. So it's gonna be a fun time. To be honest, I probably should have already read that by now, so it's my own penance for my transgressions. Anyway, all right, so I'm super excited about these recommendations. I cannot wait to get into this and let you guys know if I'm going to be converted into a cozy fantasy reader. I'm hoping that I love these recommendations and therefore expand my love of reading and books and get out of my grump phase, my grouch phase, because there's really no reason why I shouldn't try to go into cozy fantasy. Is just because I was put in a little bad mood by one book. Okay, anyway, that is the intro. These are the books we are reading. These are the competitors. Let's get into the video. Thank you guys so much for joining me for another episode. Woo! All right, everybody. It is officially the 50% check-in of the Wayward Children series, Every Heart a Doorway by Shannah mcguire. Okay, so I did find this one on audio. I'm reading it on Scribd, having the time of my life. This is definitely going under one of the best audiobooks that I've ever read. It is not full cast, it's just one narrator, but I really love the way that she's telling this story. And also I think a lot of it has to do with the actual writing of the story as well. She has like a little bit of, I think, a Scottish accent, something like that. So I'm having a really great time with it. And I think that this one, because of the references and things like that and the way that it's written, it's giving like, you know, when you watch the Chronicles of Narnia and the kids are going off on the train to go stay with their uncle and it's wartime, it's like the 1940s ish, like that's the time frame that this is giving. I don't know when this book is set, I'm not really sure, but that's what I'm like picturing in my brain. It's like this young girl has gone to this boarding school for wayward children. It's probably a lot like that one book, Mrs. Peregrine's School for Survival Guide. I just made that up. I don't know what it's called. I've never read that book, but that's what I imagine this is like. It's also like a mix of, every time I imagine the characters, like at least the main character and her roommate, I'm imagining the like two girls from Wednesday, the Netflix show. Like literally, I've got Wednesday Addams, who's our main character, even though our main character has white hair, you know? And she's just kind of like, not grumpy, but like definitely not cheery, you know what I mean? Likes to wear black and white, does not like color, whereas her roommate is off in fairyland, just doing her own thing, you know what I mean? She's got her own thing going on, if you know what I'm saying. So I'm really enjoying it. I love the nod to like every single children's story there is. There's mention of the wardrobe from Chronicles of Narnia, the rabbit hole, Jack and Jill, Hades and Persephone, enchanted mirrors, enchanted towers, doorways, and just like, I think it's so cool to have all of these kind of like myths, legends, lore, you know, children's stories, every kind of like magical thing ever kind of mentioned in this book. It's really cool, but as a nod, not as like we're going into the deep mythology of all these things, you know, it's just like a nod to these stories that we know so well. So for me, a fantasy junkie, it is like hitting all the notes. When I read fantasy books, I love like one of the things that I love about world building is that you get to kind of experience it and also like question things that are happening in the world, how the magic system works, you know, how the characters are experiencing things. So my brain is constantly working. Like I definitely like it when the plot and the writing in a book is a little bit like harder, if that makes sense. Like not everything's given to you and things become apparent like later on in the plot or later on down the line. I like this kind of things because then I can guess and like try and see what's gonna happen or like what the deal is. Another thing that I really like about this book is the representation. We have ace rep, trans rep, and it's a very subtle thing. Like it's just mentioned and then we're moving on. Like that's not the point of the book. And not that I don't love books like that, but it's like a normal thing. We don't have to like talk about it for a long time. Like the main character's just like, look, I'm ace, and everybody's like, cool, you're not weird, we're getting over it, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. And on that note, like this is such an interesting thing because most of the kids at the school are women. They're like girls, not women, excuse me, that would mean that they were older. They are girls, and the main character asks like the headmistress why that is. Like why aren't there a lot of guys? There are a couple, you know, but not a lot. And the headmistress says this quote, which I like love. And I think any person who identifies as female is gonna love this as well. But it says, because boys will be boys is a self-fulfilling prophecy. They're too loud on the whole to be easily misplaced or overlooked. When they disappear from the home, parents send search parties to dredge them out of the swamps and drag them away from frog ponds. It's not innate, it's learned, but it protects them from the doors, which are the doors are what people travel to, like what the kids travel to like the different worlds. Keeps them safe at home. Call it irony if you like, but we spend so much time waiting for our boys to stray that they never have the opportunity. We notice the silence of men, but we depend upon the silence of women. I think that quote is so high level. You understood the assignment. You get it. Because that is literally the society we live in. I think there's a lot in this book, not just that one quote, but there's a lot in this book that kind of highlights that entire thought process, right? That like girls are not under the spotlight. We are like the silent, you know, watchers of what's happening. Like we don't have like a control in the fate. You know, we get ignored a lot when we're younger, not necessarily in a mean way, but just because sometimes boys are prioritized over girls because of this learned behavior that, you know, they need to be coddled and like boys will be boys and stuff like that. Not everyone is like that. Not every boy is raised that way, but I have seen that before, and I just thought that really shot home. I was like, wow, you are high level. mcguire, you're high level. Okay. So anyway, I really like that. And I like this story. I'm enjoying it. I don't know where it's going. I know this is a series, so I'm assuming, you know, one of the kids is going to be able to go back through a doorway and we'll be able to see these different worlds. That would be really cool. But yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. I have literally no idea. I think the whole concept of this book, the plot, the world is so interesting that there are just these doorways that open up for children, and through the doorway, the kids get to go into like a world full of logic or a world full of nonsense or a world that's linear, non-linear, like all these different things. And I think that concept, like that original concept, is so essential to every kid's story. Like it's always a young child stumbling upon another dimension, like another world, another like place that's not, you know, this world that we're in. And I think that's so interesting that that is the premise of this book, because every child in this book has had a different world experience. And then sometimes they come back and they're the same age as they were when they left, like Chronicles of Narnia, right? And then sometimes they come back and they have aged. Everything around them is different and they can't acclimate. It's just so good. Oh my God, so good. So anyway, that's the 50%. Having a great time. Excellent pick, Nicole. I am flying through this book on audio. Like it's not a long audiobook at all. I think it's like 3 hours or something. So I'll probably finish it today. And then I'll have a check-in for you guys after that. Anyway, that's all I got. See you guys in a little bit. Oh, I'm so tired. Ah! Okay, so I just finished Every Hearted Doorway. What a whimsical, not spooky, but just kind of like dark time. What a fun book. I'm so excited to continue with this series. I think that this was done so well, and even though it was such a short read, I don't know why I'm saying even though as if that's a bad thing, but like it was such a short read. I feel like the audiobook was so good. Like this is definitely an audiobook that's gonna go down as one of my favorites on just like my favorite audiobook list. But like just so good and so imaginative. Like the plot of this is so different yet familiar, I think, because of the stories. And I think it's so interesting that going down the line, each book in this series is gonna essentially, you know, open a new world, like show us a new world, right? I loved it. I loved it. It was, you know, had its little murder mystery moment, and I love the characters. Like it wasn't anything super, you know, huge, but it was so good. It was so good. I think there were so many important themes in this book and just kind of like realities of things, right? Like not just the quote about, you know, young men and how they're prioritized in society, but also some quotes about sexuality, being ace, and also, you know, about being your most authentic self and like who you are, who you choose to be. I just think this was done so well, like just so well. The division between the kids who had gone to like happy worlds with like rainbows and unicorns and just like sunlight, and then the kids who had gone to like what we would think of as like more horror worlds or like scary worlds that had like vampires, mad scientists, you know, death, what I would call like the underworld, ghosts. Just done so. I'm impressed. That was a good freaking book. Very cozy, yet dark in a way that I find interesting and really like. So I'm impressed. Yeah, I cannot wait to get to the call pile on this one. Okay, so next up on the list, I think I'm gonna start Babel. Oh my gosh, it's time. And I think she will be read, and I'll give you guys all the tea. R.F. Kuang, reading a book by you every year is just such an honor and a privilege. Such an honor and a privilege. The Poppy War did rip out my heart, stomp on it, light it on fire, threw it away. But, you know, what's a whole nother series, you know? What's a whole nother thing to cry about? Anyway, I'm hoping that this one is not gonna hurt me as much, but be just as impactful. So Babel, if you guys don't know, okay, we're just gonna run through it really quick what Babel is about. A historical fantasy epic that grapples with student revolutions, colonial resistance, and the use of language and translation as the dominating tool of the British Empire. Okay, so one could say this is a study. All right, we already got words in here I can't pronounce. Traditore. An act of translation is always an act of betrayal. That sentence says so much because it depends on who translates it and what story that they're going to tell. Very interesting. Okay, 1828. Robin Swift, orphaned by the cholera in Canton, is brought to London by the mysterious Professor Lovell. There, Robin trains for years in Latin, ancient Greek, and Chinese, all in preparation for the day he'll enroll in Oxford University's prestigious Royal Institute of Translation, also known as Babel. The tower and its students are the world's center for translation and, more importantly, magic. Silverworking, the art of manifesting the meaning lost in translation using enchanted silver bars, has made the British unparalleled in power, as the arcane craft serves the Empire's quest for colonization. For Robin, Oxford is a utopia dedicated to the pursuit of knowledge, but knowledge obeys power, and as a Chinese boy raised in Britain, he realizes serving Babel means betraying his motherland. As his studies progress, Robin finds himself caught between Babel and the shadowy Hermes Society, an organization dedicated to stopping imperial expansion. When Britain pursues an unjust war with China over silver and opium, Robin must decide, can powerful institutions be changed from within, or does revolution always require violence? So one could say this is a study, because the name is Babel, or the necessity of violence. Okay, let's hit it, y'all. Just like I hit my face. We're gonna do it. We're gonna start it. So see you guys in the next clip. Hey guys, what's up? So we are at the first 50, for the first 50, there's only 150%. We're at the 50% of Babel, whatever you want to call it. And I've got some notes. I've got some things to talk about. First and foremost, is this necessarily a cozy fantasy? I don't know. I don't know about that, but I'm having a really great time. I think the audio is very, very good. And I've mentioned this before, but I think that R.F. Kuang's books on audio are always a good time, and specifically this one because the cliff notes, the footnotes, I guess, are read by a different narrator, and they give you a lot of context to the book, you know, and you don't have to go from like where you are in the book down to the footnotes, like it's just read out loud for you. I think it really adds to the story and makes it really easily digestible, especially with this book that is so like academic. The other thing is, it's no Poppy War. Okay, it is no Poppy War. I mean, if I'm ranking series of the 2 that I've read so far of R.F. Kuang, Poppy War is still up. And, you know, Poppy War, you guys will, if you look on Goodreads, like Poppy War was my favorite, and then like the rankings just go down as those books continued. There was a moment in the first 50 of this book, R.F. Kuang says astrology is fake. I have an issue with that, R.F. Rebecca, I have an issue with that, okay? I was personally taken aback when I heard that line. I was like, excuse me, what are you saying? I feel like the book was fast-paced in the beginning, but started to kind of drag a little bit between the 25 and 40%. I think that's because in the beginning, we're learning about the world, we're learning about the characters and things like that. In the 25 to 40%, we're trying to figure out what the characters are doing, like what is the point of the story? Like what is going on? I think this is really just almost like a commentary on colonialism and how it affects this like one world and like what's going on in this one world. I'm not sure if there's like anything deeper than that. Like the story is not that deep. It is literally just commentary on this whole thing. At least up until the 50%, that's where we're at. It seems like there are a lot of like subplots, I guess, to this, but I still at this point have no idea really where the story is going or how it's going to end. It's been like pretty surprising, I guess, because as R.F. Kuang does, she literally kills everybody, you know what I mean? Like, we'll kill off characters and just kill. I'm not shocked by any of that. I'm not crying about it. Like, I know to expect this from R.F. Kuang. And therefore, I don't put my heart and soul into her characters. You know what I mean? I'm looking at the big picture plot of what's going on in this book. And I truly think what we're supposed to get out of it is just that it is a commentary about colonialism. So I'm essentially thinking that the rest of this book will be about Robin kind of like breaking away from Babel and revolutionizing kind of like their power and like how they do things. I will touch on the magic system. It's not a complicated magic system. They literally just use language to work magic. It is essentially translating words from one language to another that mean similar things so that they can do magical things, okay? So for example, I can't give you a specific example, okay? So this is going to be paraphrasing. They use silver bars, and there's one silver bar where they scratched on one side invisible in one language, and then they scratched on the other side invisible in another language. And essentially, if you read it out loud, you become invisible because you're like using that bar. So silver is very coveted. Usually the rich will also employ the babels to, you know, do stuff for them, like make their garden perfect, or like, you know, just like frivolous things that like you don't really need, but like because you're rich, you can afford it. And yeah, that's pretty much how the magic system works. If, you know, the person doesn't understand the meaning of the word, so say you tell me, you know, in Chinese what invisible would be, but I don't understand that because I don't speak, you know, Mandarin or Cantonese or whatever, I would not be able to use that silver bar. Okay, so that's interesting. Also, if a language becomes too mainstream, the magic loses itself. So essentially, like all English speakers are irrelevant in this storyline. So those are some interesting facts. Those are the things that are going on. And I'm assuming the rest of the story is just going to be about Robin, like I said, doing this revolution where he breaks away from the English government and honestly probably just takes down Babel. Probably just takes down the whole thing, the whole shebang. So that's what I'm thinking. We'll see if that's what it is. So I'm at the 50%, moving right along, trucking on through. I will check in again with that later on. I'm going to take a break from Babel because it is such a big thing, but I do think reading it on audio has really helped. And I'm going to actually start The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. This one is essentially about this witch who goes to live at a house to like teach these other younger witches. And the caveat here is that much like in Practical Magic, if you guys remember that movie or have read that book, the women in that one, once they kind of like have kids or whatever, they can never keep men. Like the men, the dads, they always die. So in this one, the moms always die, okay? They have their little witch children and then they die somehow. Natural or unnatural causes. They're always just dying. That's what this one's about. I'm gonna start it and hopefully get into the 50% and have a nice little check-in for you guys today, because this one seems to be like a quicker read than Babel, and I will let you guys know how I'm liking it. But I'm excited for that one. I love witches. I love the vibes of just like practical magic. I think it's gonna be a fun time. And yeah, that's my check-in. How have you guys been? I feel like we haven't talked in so long. I've just been moving and grooving. So the B-roll for this is just probably gonna be chaotic and fun, but I've had a great time this month in July. It's been a fun time. I'm enjoying summer. I hope you are too. And yeah, let's roll it.
What is this?
I'm just laughing because I got so blown out. I was gonna just say hello. We're going to a book launch event. This is a horrible.
You didn't bring me a bag, huh?
Yes, I did. It's on the ground.
Well, I'm trying to do
Don't tell me that you matter if you ain't been involved.
Why?
because the drink needs to be played.
No. Anyway, we're going to a book event. We're trying to do BTS so that you guys can see stuff. Yeah, that's the BTS. Okay, roll the tape.
But, you know, obviously she has taken a route that has robbed her of a lot.
I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
Okay, what do we think?
We had a great time. Remove my...
You got me!
You got me! Christine's toes are deformed at the moment.
I will not be showing that on camera, so as much as we
Christine
all
wore
want to
heels
see
for the
it.
first time.
I wore heels for the first time in a year. My toes are literally like...
Anyway.
Like, those are my toes.
It's very funny.
Those are my toes. Anyway,
Because they're not normally like that.
yeah, do you want to say anything
Let's not
about
talk about the toes anymore.
about the audiobook performance?
Yeah. The audiobook performance. I squealed. I'm not even really an audio.
So the audiobook
Just
performance.
stop it. Turn it off.
No, we're gonna keep going. The audiobook performance.
Just stop it and start a new one. The audiobook performance. I squealed. I may have squealed a little bit. I'm not really an audiobook, romance girly, but when
Really?
Yes, I've told you this multiple times. I've even told.
I love
I know you do. I know you do, but I don't.
audiobook.
Like sometimes, but this was gonna be better because the reason I can like this one is because there's not it's not one actor doing all the parts. Now, unless Mitchell is reading it as the main lead,
That would be
female
really
lead,
interesting.
I might tune in just to see. But no, this one I think they have two actresses. Actors.
We'll never know until
we
she
download
reads it tomorrow. So anyway, it was a great event. Very nice. We met some lovely people.
Yep. Had a lot of fun.
Had a lot of fun.
Had to track down an Uber.
We did. We had
That
to do
was-
some work.
Yeah. And
Some
now
work. And now we're gonna go
going
home.
home.
Anyway, okay. That's the check-in. See you guys in a little. Croc zoom in because of her. Oh my god, your makeup looks so good.
Thank you.
Oh my god, you're okay, bunnies. Okay, puppets. I've officially gotten to 50% of the Society of Irregular Witches, and I'll say this, it is a cozy, cute time, okay? It's giving Practical Magic, the movie, because I've never read the book, and it's just very like heartwarming, okay? Because it's about this woman. She goes and she's teaching these 3 young witches how to, you know, accept their magic and how to use it and how to love it. And it's just giving like warm, good feely vibes, okay? I like it. I like the world. I like everything about it. It's very interesting. There are some mysterious elements to it, just kind of like about the family. But because these 3 girls have been raised by what seemingly would be 4 humans, just like 4 regular human people, and they're under the care of this other kind of mysterious witch that is not in the picture. She travels a lot. Her name's Lillian. I don't know what Lillian's all about, okay? I don't know. Is she coming back? I have no idea. I could not tell you. But I do know that our main character, Mika, is just such a little ray of sunshine, okay? And the way that she talks about magic is just so fun. It's like as if, you know, the magic wants to be used. It wants to be loved in a way. It's alive and it comes from the earth and it's just a fun, cozy time, okay? I'm enjoying it. You know, and I think with cozy fantasy, like not a lot particularly happens in the plot and it's more about the characters and the vibes. The characters and the vibes. And the vibes are right for this one, so I'm really liking it. But yeah, I will update you guys and let you know. I mean, I believe there's gonna be a romance. Yeah, I mean, I have no idea. I feel like the main character definitely has like something going on with the guy who lives in the house and has raised these kids. You know, a little bit of an age gap there, I guess. 5 years, if we want to call that an age gap. At this point, if it's not 8 years or more, it's not an age gap. He doesn't like her, he doesn't trust her, because that's his family and he's not sure if he can trust her yet. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see how that relationship develops, because as we know, he is going to fall in love. Boy golly, he's going to fall in love and it's going to be wonderful. It's going to be beautiful. In other news, I am 1 hour away from finishing Babel. So if this is a reading day, and by golly, it is a reading day, I'm almost certain I'm gonna finish both these books. So I will keep you guys updated on that. I don't want to update on Babel until we get to the end, so I will let you guys know. Anyway, all right, that's the tea. That's what's going on. I'll see you guys in a little bit. Okay, hopefully this is not too dark. I can't really tell. Anyway, all right, let's do our check-ins. Let's talk about some books here. We've got 2 check-ins to do, one for Babel, whatever, and one for the Society of Irregular Witches? Is that the whole title? I feel like it's not. Hold on. The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. Okay, I'm gonna start with the Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches because I feel like this one was so simple. It was literally so easy to really talk about and to really like check in with you guys about, okay? Because this one was a true blue cozy fantasy. I already said it reminded me a lot of Practical Magic, and it just was a simple time. Like the whole entire plot was about belonging, finding like, you know, your family while also possibly nurturing these kind of like other relationships from your past. Plot was very simple. The atmosphere was immaculate. It was very fun. Witches, and there was a cute little love story in there. Okay, a little enemies to lovers, some could say, where, you know, most people I think would say enemies to lovers. I would just say it was a dislike to like, because for me, enemies to lovers is they are both at each other's throats trying to kill each other. And in this one, it was just, you know, the guy did not want her to necessarily move into the house. Okay, very fun time, cozy fantasy setting. I really enjoyed it. So that's the check-in for that. We're gonna go to Bible next. Babel is not a cozy fantasy. It is not a cozy fantasy. You know, it was a good time. I enjoy R.F. Kuang's writing, but I think I struggle sometimes to see the point in her writing, okay? I had this whole thing with the Poppy War. I feel like it was to educate, and it did educate me. Like Babel did educate me. But sometimes it's like hard for me because I'll get behind her characters and then I'm like, what was the point? You know what I mean? I get burned. So I think what I'm learning with R.F. Kuang is just not to trust the character work at all and just to really look at the story and kind of like what the story is telling. And that's not to say that this was a horrible plot. It just wasn't really a plot that I cared a lot about. Yeah, I found it to be kind of slow at some parts, and it definitely left me kind of being like, what is the point of this? Where are we going here? And I think truly the bottom line is to educate, as I'll go back to saying that. It's to educate and have these parallels for colonialism. And not even really parallels, because in the book, she does talk about colonialism and these things are happening or have happened in the past. She's just making it kind of into this fantastical fantasy world. So I hope that helps. Not my favorite fantasy, but a good read, enjoyable, still is gonna probably get high marks, but I think the audiobook definitely helped. Like, if I read this not on audio, I don't think I would have had a good time. I don't think I would have finished it. I probably would have DNF'd it just because it's so heavy. The content is educational. Like I said, I felt as though I was in a class sometimes. That's the point of that. So let's get into the final ratings of these books, because I know you guys are on the edge of your seats about it, okay? The final ratings for these books. I think they're gonna be pretty close because they all were very good books, but they all are different vibes. So we're gonna start off with Every Heart a Doorway, which is the first book that I read for this vlog. The characters in this one, awesome, amazing. I loved it. I loved it. I thought the representation was great. I thought the characters were great. Loved everything about it. This book, honestly, overall blew me out of the water, but the characters are a 9.5 out of 10, okay? The atmosphere is a 9.5 out of 10. I think just having this world like Narnia, but not, where you can go through these different doorways and experience these different fantasy worlds, phenomenal, okay? And I cannot wait to continue with this series. I had such a good freaking time with it. So the atmosphere is going to get a 9.5 out of 10. The writing is going to get a 10 out of 10. I was eating this book up. I could not put it down. I loved it. Okay, I loved it. I think it's some of the, easiest writing, most digestible, fun time, just like all around good time. The plot, 9.5, very impressed with this idea and loved where the story was taken. Enough said. Intrigue, 10 out of 10. Could not put this book down, as I said. The logic and the relationships in this one is going to get a 9 out of 10. Not a perfect 10, I guess, because there were a couple of characters, that did some stuff and I was kind of like, oh, convenient, whatever. It's not perfect, still really good. 9 out of 10 is great. So there you go. And then overall enjoyment is going to be a 9.5, which would be like a 4.5 to a 5 stars. Overall, I really loved this book. At the end of the day, it's got a 9.5 out of 10, which means that it's a 5-star read. And we knew that. We knew that from the start, okay? The next book that I want to talk about is Babel. Still can't get it right. That one, I had mixed feelings about this one because it wasn't a 10 out of 10. It was not a 5-star to me. Somewhere in between a 4 and a 4.5, and we'll get into the call pile for that right now. The characters in this one are going to get an 8 out of 10. I thought they were written well, but I just didn't like all of them. I don't know what that's about. You know what I mean? Some characters were just in for a second. They served the plot. I didn't care too much about them, but they weren't the worst, okay? So 8 out of 10. Atmosphere also is going to be an 8 out of 10. It was all right. I mean, I liked traveling around. Wasn't anything crazy, but I did give points because obviously we're creating Babel, the place where they study language. So 8 out of 10. The writing is going to be a 9 out of 10. I like R.F. Kuang's writing, but I do think sometimes the writing does lag and it gets very boring at points, to put it simply. So it's going to be a 9 out of 10. The plot's a 7.5 out of 10. It was all right. Not my favorite. Educational, but sometimes I was bored. I'm not going to lie. Not gonna lie. Like I said, I do think the audiobook helped immensely with that. If I was reading it plainly, just from the book, I'm not sure if I would have finished it, like I said. Intrigue's gonna be an 8.5 out of 10. I wanted to know where the story was going until suddenly it just became apparent to me that the plot was not really going anywhere past where it was going. You know what I mean? So in that way, it could be considered cozy. It's like you knew what to expect as soon as you got into it. You know what I mean? But for some reason, I thought it was gonna be much bigger than it was. So Intrigue's an 8.5. The logic and relationships is gonna be a 9. I thought it all went well together. I thought the betrayals and kind of reveals and stuff made sense. It was a good time. That was exciting. And then overall enjoyment, it was a 4 out of 5, I think. Honestly, it's probably leaning more towards a 3.5, but I'm going to give it a 4 just because I like R.F. Kuang. So that means that the final score for Babel is an 8.16 out of 10, which means it's a 4.5, a low 4.5. But a 4.5 nonetheless. And that leaves us with our final book, The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. there we go. The characters in this one, 9 out of 10. I really, really enjoyed the characters. I liked them, okay? They were a good time. I liked the 3 girls. I thought everyone was written very well, very differently. You know what I mean? It was done very, very well. The atmosphere in this one's a 9.5 out of 10. I liked being in this world, okay? I liked being at the nowhere house. I liked the descriptions of the attic, and overall it was just a witchy time. It was a fun time. Like, I could clearly picture it and liked everything that I was seeing. The writing in this one is going to be a 9.5 out of 10. I thought the writing was great, kept me intrigued, kept me going. Never was there a slow moment, you know, where I felt like I might need to hurry it up, skip some pages, you know what I mean? Plot, 9 out of 10. I liked it. You know, there were some reveals in there. Very interesting, kept me engaged, like I said. The intrigue is going to be a 9.5 out of 10. I found myself like coming back to this book whenever I would put it down, which is a good sign. I couldn't put it down for long and really did enjoy it. The logic and relationships in this one is going to be a 9 out of a 10. I can't really explain that one other than it doesn't feel like a 10 out of a 10, but it was good. It was a good time. And then overall enjoyment is going to be a 9 out of a 10, okay? Felt like a 4 to a 4.5. And overall, the score for that one's going to be a 9.16 out of 10, which means that it's a 5-star read. So out of these 3 books, the winner is Every Heart a Doorway. Bonbon reads, Miss Nicole, you have won this round. And I just want to say, this book clearly knocked me off my feet. Like this, I have heard of this book before, but never thought, you know, to pick it up. And I am just so happy that I did. So thank you so much, Nicole, for this recommendation. I'm going to continue on with the rest of this series, and I'm very excited to do so. But that means that YouTube has gotten itself another point on the board. So our current rankings are as follows. This is so exciting. I feel so good. I say this every month, but I feel like it's going to be neck and neck until the very, very end. Like as soon as one person pulls ahead, another person, you know, adds to their, you know, platform's points. And so it's just, I'm just so excited to see where we end up at the end of this year. So I do want to say a huge thank you to all of the creators who gave me recommendations this month, because as I always say, recommendations that come from the heart are very hard to give, okay? They're very hard to give. And so I really appreciate that all of these beautiful, wonderful creators gave me such great recs, because as you guys can see, all of these books are 4.5 to 5 stars. So they are good freaking books, and it is really just down to like the enjoyment level and like little nitpicky things when it comes to the call pile and who is going to be, you know, scoring higher than the other. Like, what can I say other than you guys are professionals, you're doing a great job, and I could not be happier that you have said yes to recommending me books for this month. So thank you guys so much. If you guys don't follow them and you want to learn more about their pages and get more recommendations from them and just get more of their content, all of that is going to be linked down below. Please, please, please go ahead, follow them, check out their content, like their posts, comment, you know, give them some love, because obviously it takes a lot to recommend books, and they did it. That is the end of this round. Very, very exciting. And I am pleased to say that I have changed my tune about cozy fantasy. I do want to say that I had started off with a certain book for cozy fantasy and it kind of turned me off a little bit, but I think witches and like witchy vibes and like practical magic vibe, that's more my pace for cozy fantasy. And I'm happy to say that I do not hate the genre. Okay, because I thought I was a goner. I thought it was me, and it's not me. And I love that for me. So anyway, happy that you guys came along on this journey. Thank you so much for watching. And I'm very, very excited for next month's picks. So stay tuned, and I will see you guys next month for our next installment of Battle of the Books. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys had a great time. And as always, you can like, comment, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell if you don't want to miss another video from us. And until the next time, bye.
Bum bum da 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 bum bum da.